Hello, everyone, and welcome to the United Stand. You are here with me, Holly, Jordan, Kev, and Jay. We will be dissecting the Chelsea game result today, 1-1. Would have taken that if you'd asked me earlier, but we'll be delving into that more in detail. We want to get you guys in the comments involved as well. So any questions and any topics we bring up, of course, get yourselves in the comments. We want to hear from you too. So, how are you feeling after that, then, Jordan?
Yeah, I feel like the last couple of games we seem to have, I say played a bit better. I think certain performances are better. We actually didn't lose, which feels different. I feel almost in shock that we didn't get beat. I think, I keep saying that we're not really going to see anything different for the last few games of this season that we don't already know. I think what's quite worrying is our squad isn't great. And even the players that are supposed to be better than the others are not available. And it definitely seems to be an us against them sort of attitude from some of these players where they've kind of grouped together and just thought, we've got to try and represent ourselves before the end of the season. Matic, for me, since he's announced that he's leaving, is playing some of his best football. I don't know what anyone else feels like. A lot of people saying about Ronaldo's goals, but for me, David De Gea once again kept us in that game, and some of those saves were as good as goals. The fullbacks didn't play as bad for me as they have done in other games, but when you compare them to the Chelsea's fullbacks, we were just talking before we went live, you look at Reece James's man of the match performance today, and it's frightening the level above he is coming back from injury compared to our players who've played a number of games. I think even our fullbacks on their best day are still not as good as Reece James. And yeah, it's just nice to not lose, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it was very much so hold it in the first half and try and get through without a goal being scored. I mean, Jay, we'll start right at the beginning of the fixture today then with the team sheet. Was there any surprises for you in the team sheet today? Was there anyone you think that shouldn't have started, that maybe could have been replaced by maybe the youth, or anyone that you think was totally? I have there's a few people on social media and stuff and in the comments already that think there's a couple that should definitely not have started. But for you today, was there any surprises? Or
yeah, the most obvious one is Rashford. Rashford is stealing a wage at the club, and I sell him. I think he's become a wage stealer, a charlatan, and I would definitely get rid of him. Basically, we played with 10 million against Chelsea and got a point that we definitely would have taken for the game. I think George summed up well when he said that I'm so glad that we didn't lose. Like, Rangnick has won only 2 of his last 11 games. That speaks volumes to where we are right now. But when Rashford has to start game in, game out, you're playing with 10 men. And when he comes on as a sub, you're thinking, okay, he won't do anything. And I firmly believe if Rashford wasn't English and hadn't done a bit of charity work, I think the fan base would have turned on him a long time ago. And I have it on very good authority from a source inside the club that his attitude and demeanor towards staff, both coaches and playing staff and general staff in the club, stinks. And I've been very nice by saying it stinks. He basically doesn't respect the people around him in the club. I think his performance on the pitch reflect that. He's not interested. And he basically, for me, Holly, he's stealing a wage. Bruno tonight as well, I wouldn't have started. I thought Bruno was poor. Yeah, he's poor last week. I know Mata is in a twilight of his career, but Mata, for his little cameo tonight, I know he's going to leave in the summer, but he definitely offered a lot more than Bruno. So, yeah, for me, Bruno and Rashford tonight wouldn't have started. And then finally, we have Max Sideways. How can a midfielder complete 24 passes in 90 minutes who's played professional football? That's public stuff. I thought McTominay does what he does, which is feck all. Kevin, I know previously you were a fan of Max Sideways, but I think the last couple of months you've even come around.
Don't bring me into this, Jay. Don't bring me into this. You were doing well then, son. You were doing well.
Yeah, but a professional footballer to complete 24 passes in 90 minutes, that's piss poor. Seriously, that's Sunday League stuff.
Yeah. obviously the choosing of Rashford and Bruno didn't go down too well on social media as well. And obviously we can see the difference in Rashford's attitude on the pitch. Even it's very disrespectful. And even at times you think, I'm offended to be watching this. Like, how can someone come out and, like you said, Jay, absolutely steal a living? I mean, but Kev, who would you have to come on ahead of him? Who would you have to start over Rashford? Like Jay said, he's a massive, massive ego in this team. And that's the only thing that seems to keep buying him into this side, because his talent surely isn't. So how do we we've had the very exciting youth. How do we get them in ahead of him?
Well, you've got a lad on the bench there that had a 5-minute cameo at Anfield, Hannibal. And we're all looking at him and going, this is fantastic. A lad that actually wants to play for Manchester United, a lad that actually looks like he gives a shit. In stark comparison at the minute, Marcus Rashford, I think even Gary Neville on the commentary said a certain amount of times when he gave the ball away, absolutely no fight to get it back. So I think it was a bit of a heads gone to start Rashford in that game. I know in hindsight we can look back now and say it, and it's easy to say it because he's had an awful game. He brought absolutely nothing to the party, but that's what we're here to do on the United stand. As a game, as Jay correctly says, before the game, if somebody had said 1-1, even when Chelsea went 1-0 up, I mean, to respond so quickly, that was a goal out of absolutely nothing. You wait so long. It was only a matter of time. The goal goes in. And the fear for me was, like Liverpool, like Man City, when you go a goal behind, that's it. United's mentality at the minute is heads have dropped. We're not better than them, which we're not. We are not better than Chelsea. And let's not make or beat around the bush here, man. That is papering over the cracks. I like to take positivity from football games, but for me, if you've not got David De Gea in that team and you've not got a certain Cristiano Ronaldo, I fear to think where Manchester United would be this season. I'd even say we'd be as far as probably battling with Everton for survival. And that's not like a knee-jerk reaction or anything. Cristiano Ronaldo continues to amaze me at Manchester United. And it's absolutely frightening to think that if he'd have joined Manchester City, let's say, for instance, at the start of the season, I think City would have won the league by now. It would not be as close with Liverpool. He is the difference. And at 37 years old, to be scoring goals in that team, a team that's disinterested, lacking any kind of attitude, clearly don't want to throw out or even carry out the instructions that the manager's giving, I thought it was a shining light. Yeah. How many times this evening did he win his fouls up the pitch? You could see him shouting, get up the pitch. He's winning clever fouls. He knew we were under pressure. No other player is capable of that in that team. And yet it turns to a point where we're bringing, and Ricky will love me for saying this, we bring Juan Mata on. And by God, the one main thing that's wrong at Manchester United, the midfield. We mix that up. Today, Kante and Jorginho, absolutely sublime. But I could say that about any midfield that comes to Old Trafford or any away ground we visit, we get outplayed in the middle of the park. And today, watching McTominay against Kante, I mean, it was laughable at times. I mean, I love Kante. I think he's one of the best players I've ever seen in that position. He was absolutely fantastic. He did McTominay an absolutely, lesson in how to do that role. And McTominay will never, ever be able to do that. But again, I think we just have to say, thanks very much, Cristiano Ronaldo. Where would we be without him? And David De Gea. I thought Varane was good as well, but Ronaldo, I mean, the chance. I keep saying, give him service, he will score goals. The ball through for Matic is brilliant. He's still got a hell of a lot to do. First touch is brilliant, and the finish, bang, have a bit of that. And we managed to weather the storm. We've seen it out. And we've got, I can't say a deserved point. We certainly did not deserve that. Not one bit, but listen, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think you're so right. That ball that went through to Ronaldo that he scored from, a Liverpool or a Man City, their midfield make that pass 7-8 times a game. You look at the fact that Ronaldo, the amount of goals he scored with that midfield behind him, it is frightening to think what he would have done at a team that was firing on all cylinders. we have actually turned into legs gone FC, haven't we? Because Matic, Mata, Ronaldo, all the golden oldies seem to be embarrassing these youngsters and showing them what it actually means to play ball and play for this shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very apparent. It is very apparent. Even what Ronaldo's done, I think this season is very testament to himself and the character that he is. I think it's crazy the numbers he's scoring goals in this team. Like, this is the worst team we've had. This is the worst United team ever, some people would say. So for him to be still scoring the goals, and even in a game like that where we had very little chances, it says a lot about Ronaldo himself. Anyway, we need to talk about that first half because it was abysmal. And I even said to Jordan myself before we went live that if it wasn't for this show and coming and speaking to you guys afterwards, I would have turned it off. And I would never usually do that. I'm the same person that stayed at the 5-0 loss against Liverpool to the very last second. But I think today the setup was it was strange. It was very easy for Chelsea to play through. We sat back and we very rarely pressed the ball. And every time we did press the ball, it seemed extremely easy to beat. And then we looked very wide open then when Chelsea would come and attack us. Do you think that was the right way to set up, Jay? Do you think that Ralf could have set up a little bit better, or do you think that it's just detriment to the team we are at the moment and we can't do much more?
Well, we only had 35% possession at home. I think we just completed 310 passes vis-a-vis Chelsea. I think it was 600 odd. I don't have the exact stats in front of me. But that first half, I actually would have preferred to go 3 at the back and played Phil Jones. I genuinely would have played 3 at the back today and put Phil Jones. And then that would allow Telles and Dalot to push forward. I thought Telles today, okay, we discussed in a previous show that, he didn't exactly show us some glory against Arsenal. But I thought Telles today had a much better game. But that midfield, Kevin said it many times, there is not a midfield in the Premiership that hasn't bossed our midfield. And when we're counting on a player like Matic to anchor that midfield, his ripe old age, it just shows testament to the mistakes that were made primarily by our previous manager and the board not buying proper midfielders. So that midfield today, as ever, it's literally, I think Mark coined the phrase, a big FC midfield, and it's happening game in, game out. Then on the left-hand side, then you had Reece James, who's literally playing like prime Paolo Maldini, who for me was probably one of the best left backs of all time. Marcus Rashford not getting his face literally gave Reece James today the defeat of Manchester. Timo Werner even looked good today. Man for man, you and Kevin said it. You take David and Ronaldo out of that team today, and we lose 3-0. I think it's Patricia's point, but you go back to the way it was set up. Look, Varane, I hope he can stay fit for another 2 seasons, because if we are to go back to Lindelof and Maguire at that back, no matter who is playing midfield, I think we're going to lead goals. And there was a point that I want to pick out as well. It was the 84th minute. One of the few notes I made because I was so just interested in this game, Holly. And, I personally tonight, if I wasn't coming on the show, I wouldn't have bothered watching because my time is valuable. And I don't have time to waste an hour and a half watching that shower shite. But the 84th minute, Lindelof is remonstrating to Scott McSideways to push up. He passes Scott the ball, and the first thing Scott does is pass back to De Gea again, the 84th minute. Now your centre half is telling you push up. You don't have the confidence in yourself to push up and play a pass. You're back to your goalkeeper again. And for me, that was just a snapshot tonight of Scott McSideways tonight. Total push up, won't do it. Either he can't physically do it because he's out on his feet, or B, having the confidence in his own ability to push up and play a ball into midfield. For me, that's a snapshot of tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think even when we did get the ball, the movement on the ball and off it was just, there wasn't any. There really wasn't. There was a moment for 30 seconds when I remember counting, Matic had the ball in the centre of midfield, and for once we actually had Chelsea in their own half, and there was just no movement from any of the forwards. The only one that was coming slightly forward was Ronaldo. And Kev, do you think that there's a certain aspect of, obviously, I think this is this can't be the way that Ralf wants to set up. Do you think this is a certain, like, the players aren't listening to what he's saying, or they're not adhering to his tactics? What is it? Why do you think that they are relaying what Ralf is telling them, or do you think they're just disobeying him?
100%. The majority of them players are not carrying out the instructions that Ralf Rangnick is asking. And there's no smoke without fire. We've heard the stories come out in the press, and we're hearing that, Ralf Rangnick is absolutely furious that players aren't carrying out. I know for a fact they're not. And we can go back. This has happened under previous managers. Yes, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was a bit more relaxed. They were probably given a bit more freedom to go out and do what they did. But that is why we are in this situation now. You let children in a primary school or whatever get away with absolute murder, that they will continue to do that. You need some kind of organisation, structure, and discipline. That is the main word, is discipline. And these players are getting rewarded with contracts for not even playing well. Do you know what I mean? It's like being at work and getting a pay rise for not even performing well in your job. Where's the motivation then if you're on, what is it, Marcus Rashford or Martial or whatever, on a more than what most salaries? Come on, seriously. And Manchester United, the way it's been run, is it any wonder we come on these fan forums and we're pulling our hair out and looking at it and going, how's Manchester United got to this point where, what are we rewarding? We're not actually rewarding people for performing on the field and winning. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, the recent performance, the likes of Everton, games like that, even Liverpool, where there was no fight or anything. I tell you one thing, man, if them players were on some kind of wage structure where it was all performance related, and that's the only way they got paid, by God, they would put in a shift. They are guaranteed 100, 200 grand, 250 grand, whatever it is, regardless of the result. So a lot of them players are probably going out and going, well, I don't like this manager and he'll be gone in the summer anyway. And as I've said before, the thing is with this is, are they absolutely stupid? Because Rangnick will be in contact with Ten Hag. I dread to think, what's Ten Hag thinking this evening? He'll be keeping an eye on Manchester United now. He's signed, sealed, delivered. He's coming to United. He's probably looking and thinking, by God, I've a bitten off more than I can chew. And, I hope he hasn't, because he needs to come in and do one of the biggest rebuilds we will ever see in our lifetimes as as a Manchester United manager. But it's a huge task that he's got. But he'll already know. Don't tell me Rangnick's not been on and said, this Rashford lad, in one ear, out the other, he's not listening. Jesse Lingard, he's off. Pogba's already told me he's leaving. Matic is leaving. Mata, not really sure whether you can count on him for another season. There's loads. Left back, Tellez, not sure about him. Dallo, Harry Maguire, not captain material. You just go through so many. And that's what Ten Hag, this is what he's taken on at Manchester United, which will be so refreshing if he starts getting in players that he can trust, he can mould. Bring back Donny van der Beek, players like that, players that will listen. They actually carry out instruction. Juan Mata's the prime example tonight. Come on that pitch. And we talk about statistics. What was it? The last game we played when Mata actually come on, I think he made more passes in a 10-minute cameo in the second half than Scott McTominay did in the whole first half of that game. Yeah. It tells you everything, doesn't it? It's scary. Absolutely, and I'm not saying we're looking, and going, Juan Mata's coming off the bench, and it's squad depth. It's everything at the minute, man. It really is.
Absolutely. Just quick. Yeah, go ahead, Jordan.
No, I was just going to say, I just back to your original question. I think Kev made some good points. I think Rangnick is in survival mode. I think he looks at these options. He's tried to implement change and his ideas to these players. They clearly are not taking it on board. So he's looking to go through these games, get to the end of the season. And if you are Ten Hag looking at this, I think this is a good thing. I really do. I think he will look at this. And it's almost like, when you buy a house, do you really want the finished article, or do you want to be able to go in there and knock down walls and change rooms and add extensions from the beginning? And I feel he looks at it, and he hasn't got to take over the team with a load of big name Charlies locked into long-term contracts that he can't move on. a lot of these players are naturally at the end of their shelf life with the club. He can move them on and he can really implement his own ideas and bring a spine of a team in that buy into his philosophy from the off. So I think he's in a good position. When you have a look at Mourinho inherited a lot of Van Gaal's mistakes. Then Ollie inherited some of Mourinho's mistakes and then made his own mistakes. This is the first time that we can actually, go to a manager. He can come in with a fresh idea, a clean slate, and make a go of it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think what says more about this team at the moment is we have players that are leaving at the end of the season and playing towards their retirement, compared to players that are trying to play for this team next season because nobody else will have them, and players that are also trying to make it into the World Cup this year. The likes of Rashford and Bruno and the rest of them, they're all playing for something, and they're still playing this terribly. It says more about the guys that are coming on, Mata and Matic, that aren't exactly playing for anything, but show twice as much heart. Jordan, I'll just go to you quickly. Big up to Zayn Miasi, obviously, in the super chats. He's given us a bit of abuse about the old Emirates situation at the weekend and talking about his team. Fair play to him. It'd be nice to have something to talk about as a United fan, so fair play to Zayn. Just moving on then, obviously not a lot to delve into with that first half, but we really struggled to create chances in that first half, Jay. Do you think that was... why did we struggle so much?
Well, I think if we created half amount of chances as Zane says in super chats, we'd probably be challenged for league title. Well done, Zane. Thanks for the super chat, man. Big up. Holly, honestly, I just can't see where this team can go under Ten Hag after watching this entire season. And as Jordan said, he used the analogy of building a house. And I said in the last show that Ralf had realized that he literally was putting lipstick on a pig. So now you're Ten Hag and you watch that first half tonight, you're not going to be inspired with confidence. You're thinking, bloody hell, this is actually worse than I thought, because we were creating nothing in the first half. And I can't remember which of you said it. You noted that Ronaldo was tracking back, and I would say, well, every player should track back, but your 37-year-old super centre forward shouldn't have to track back because the players around him should do the running for him. Take you back to Dimitar Berbatov looked so good at Spurs because Robbie Keane did all Berb's running. Berbatov didn't have to run. Just Berbatov could just turn a dime and shoot him 30 yards. So when you have Ronaldo, your talisman centre forward, having to track back because your left-sided winger simply can't be arsed and won't do it, how are you going to create chances? It's just not going to happen. So you're Ten Hag coming in, you're thinking, bloody hell, I knew in my interview this job was a mammoth task, but he's watched tonight, and as Kevin pointed out, he's going to be paying very close attention to his performances, and Ralf is going to give him a dossier on all the players. It came out during the week that Ralf is going to do a Zoom call with every single member of the current squad, including the chaps that are leaving and whatnot, to be a fly in the wall of those conversations. That would be phenomenal. For me, guys, these players are already on the beach. I think Ralf doesn't want to throw the under-23s into this mix and ruin their confidence, especially when they have their own cup final to play in a couple of weeks' time. So I'm just happy now that I haven't to watch these lads play for 2 weeks, because I don't want to watch anymore, Holly. I just don't want to watch. I've lost interest.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. And I just think even with the likes playing against the likes of Chelsea and stuff, no matter where you are in the league or what you're fighting towards, it's clear that now that we're not going to get top four, it's still the bragging rights that you should be playing for. Do you agree, Kev? Do you think that we should still be showing some heart going out to these games? I mean, if you're not going to do it for yourselves, do it for us.
Do it for the fans, man. 70-odd thousand fans have gone to that match this evening. Now, a certain percentage of them, and fair play to them, decided to stay outside the ground until the 17th minute when they come in, which was picked up on the cameras. And that is fair play. I absolutely respect anyone behind that movement. You know, fair play. I take my hat off to you. It takes a lot to be that, you know, really angry and obviously protest or whatever that's going on against the Glazers. So to be able to do that and then come in on the 17th minute and make that point, I think it's a massive thing. But at the same time, you want the players, for Christ's sake, to give you something back, don't you? I mean, let's just say, I know top 4 is still a possibility, a slim possibility. You've still got that to play for.
Stop
it.
Well, I'm not getting carried away. I'm just throwing it out there. It's still not mathematically impossible. But what I'm saying is, as long as that is still a possibility, you play for that, I would like to think you'd do it for yourself. And more importantly, like you say, Holly, the fans. You know, how many fans have turned up there? I was on the motorway on the M56. What time was that? Roughly about 4:30 today. Coach after coach, you know, Wales flag in the back, obviously coming from Wales, all United fans sat on it. And I'm thinking, you know, even, you know, the Welsh Red Army making the way to Manchester United. And, you know, you'd be sat there thinking, yeah, it's Chelsea, it's a big game, but the people who should be doing it for is the fans. The ones in South Africa, the ones in India, the ones that are getting up at daft o'clock in the morning to be subjected to this absolute shite football at the minute. And I know what I was going to say, we're not used to it. Listen, over the years we have been, but the minimum requirement, and there's other teams in the Premier League that give more fight than what Man United do. And that's, for me, the minimum requirement is running and at least, you know, a bit of pride in battle. We've not had that for ages.
I think we need to look over our shoulder as well. It's, you know, like you said, top 4 is a mathematical impossible, but, you know, it is really in real time. But we got to look at West Ham and Wolves behind us because they're chasing us for like Europa League spot. So they definitely still have something to play for. And I do feel like the last couple of games, there definitely seems to be more of a togetherness amongst the team. And like, you know, they have raised their game. Yeah, it isn't anywhere near to the standard that we want it to. But since Liverpool, I definitely feel like certain players seem to have stepped up. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Actually, guys, interesting. If everybody watching now live, just drop in the comments what part of the world you're watching from right now, because, you know, it's kind of easy for us. It's halftime night in Britain and Ireland, so it's easy for us to be up doing the show. But some of you are probably watching in India, America. I see someone in Australia. So drop in the comments, guys. Where are you watching from right now? Because, you know, that shows so much dedication, and you know, big respect to every one of you. I see South Africa, Ireland, Cyprus. Oh, they're moving here. Australia.
There we go.
Lots. South Africa.
Wow.
You watching this, guys? So, guys, I'm looking here now, right? And the comments are scrolling so fast. I literally can't read them. Jay Shed. Yeah. So, well, I don't know if you can move in my shed for all gym equipment's in it, but the comments are going so fast now. That's a testament to the worldwide fan base that, you know, watch us live game after game after game, and thank each and every one of you. I see Texas. I've got someone from Texas. Texas is where I want to go for my holidays, guys. I need to go to Texas. That's where I need to go. So wherever's in Texas, drop me DM. I'm going to stay in your gaff.
I get every time I read the comments about where everyone's. Every time I read the comments about where everyone's watching from, it gets me every time. Honestly, like, big well done to you guys getting up to watch that, because it is crazy, and it does just show your commitment as well. And even getting up to watch the game is more effort than the players are putting on the pitch. So fair play to every one of you. But this one's for you in the comments as well, guys. Obviously, the first half was a struggle. Came in at half-time 0-0. Some would say we did well to come in, and we were lucky to come in at 0-0. So any changes you guys would have made at half-time then? Even the obvious, get the obvious ones in the chats, obviously. Jay, Jordan, I'm going to start with you with this one. Who would you have, any changes at half-time? Would you have changed anything?
It's the Rashford situation, isn't it? You know, he's painful, isn't he? And it was glaringly obvious that it was down that one side that we were struggling. And you would have thought something needed to have been changed. We were wide open, and if Havertz had his shooting boots on, and I think if James hadn't just come back from injury, we could have been really punished in our first half, and they could have been 3-0 up.
Yeah, and the likes of Bruno was obviously lack of chances created by Bruno in the first half. Do you think, though, Kev, that was more of Bruno having a bad game, or do you think that just having not a lot of options around him? I found that every time Bruno got the ball, he was quite deep, and it was kind of just try and find Ronaldo, and there wasn't a lot surrounding Ronaldo. Do you think Bruno had a bad game, or do you think that it was just more of the team just had a bad game in general? Because Bruno never seems to be the shining light anymore. He just seems to be the guy that kind of we try to look to, but it doesn't really work out.
Bruno Fernandes was the man that carried this team for 2 seasons. I'm not going to say find it hard to, come out and kind of slate him, because I've always been a big advocate of if you're in form, then you should be in the team. And for me, at the minute, Bruno Fernandes is not. But at the same time, you can kind of look at it and go, well, who's going to take his position? I think part of the game plan today was for Bruno to drop deep and maybe drop into a free in the midfield and try and... There was no doubt, like I said earlier, it was a total mismatch. Jorginho and Kante run rings around. Matic, don't get me wrong, 5 years ago would have done a job. But we're playing with a player in Matic who's the best of a bad bunch. Don't mean any disrespect, but I think he is the best of a bad bunch. His legs aren't what they were. We all know when it gets about the 60th minute mark, we're like, right, it's time for Matic to come off. So you can't count on him. Yes, he'll give you a shift for them 60 minutes, but in with McTominay, it's like at half time, I'm looking at Mata. I really am.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a player like that. And I think that's where you look at the start of the season, we had the likes of whoever was on the bench, Rashford, Martial, Donny van der Beek, really, really strong bench, Cavani. And you're looking and you're thinking, wow, if we need to change this game in the 60th minute, whatever, for the last half an hour, we can make game-changing substitutions there. And now we're looking at what? And no disrespect again, Phil Jones, Juan Mata. And I'm like, seriously, this is Chelsea at home. And we're looking, to make changes like that. Well, I'll tell you one thing about them two. Them two players, Phil Jones and Juan Mata, get Manchester United. And that cuts it for me at the minute. That's where my expectation level is. That's 2 players that come onto the pitch today and they know what it is. They know the history, everything about Manchester United. Juan Mata, that little thing where he got dragged back, was it Rudiger? Where there was like 3 players around him, a bit of a tactical foul. I've never seen Juan Mata getting mixed in like that. And I was like, that's all I want. I want that from every other player. Every single player on the pitch. I don't understand how you can't be up for a game like that this evening at Old Trafford against a Chelsea team that are up for it. European champions at this moment in time until, a month away or whatever. And, they had a great support there today. And you're like, why can't you get up for this? As Jay says, I know that they might as well be walking around with onthebeach.com or whatever on the back of the shirt and that sombrero on, the Lilo under the arm, flip-flops on, because that's what it does seem at the minute. But for me, it's absolutely criminal that they are turning this. This isn't a one-off game. This has been going on a hell of a long time. And supporters like us and everybody in the chat, wherever you're watching from, you're all watching the same thing. And I think we're all singing from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And the comments agree with you as well, Kev. But Jay, I think you're the perfect person to ask for this. So you are the manager of this team. You're leading these players in at halftime. What do you say to them in the changing room? What do you say to try and spur them on a little bit? Like, I know it's an impossible task, but I think you're the perfect person to ask for this. What do you say,
Keep it clean, Jay? Keep it clean.
Okay, so first
Please
of all,
don't swear.
No threats to kill as well, please.
So I can't kill anybody.
No,
I can't threaten anybody. So what's the point, lads? What's the point, lads? I can't kill someone. I can't threaten anybody.
No.
Okay, well, Marcus, get off, go home, go and play social media with your social media buddies because you're useless on the pitch. Get him off. I brought on that kid. Is it Garnacho or Hannibal? I brought him on if they were on the bench. Bruno, you've been asleep. Mata, come on, dust off your 34-year-old legs, mate. you're coming on. And I also would have brought on Phil Jones at the back. I'd have gone 5-3-2. That's what I'd have done. 5-3-2. And if Scott McSideways hadn't started to play 5-yard passes, I would have given. Jay doesn't talk with words, though. He's pure fear. Well, geez, Ben, thanks for that. I'm going to have to remember Ben's words there and get him back for that. But yeah, I would have gone 5-3-2, 2 wing backs, and got Tellez and Lowe to push forward. But that being said, as I started the show, guys, that's what I would have started with, and I certainly would have started with Rashford. Like we all did our teams picks before the start. How many of you three? Because I didn't see your teams. How many of you three now? Be honest. Started Rashford, and be honest. Nope. Kev, did you start Rashford?
Nope. And I went with 3 at the back, which in theory was kind of 5 at the back. Matic was in there. I chose Hannibal again. I'm just playing off pure.
So did I. So did I.
I chose Hannibal over Rashford. I went with Elanga, Fernandes, Ronaldo, but I played a back 3 of Eric Bailly, Varane, and Lindelof because I thought we would need that protection. And a lot of people on Twitter were like, you know what? This, like looking at my team, and I was like, we need protection at the back. And then somebody was like, well, it didn't work out that well against Liverpool. And I was like, well, come on, mate. I said, I'm not playing Phil Jones in there. That's, throwing him into the Lions' den when he's not played a game for how many since the Wolves game. I said, I'm playing 3, very good central defenders here because we if we don't do that, we're going to get overloaded. And what happened this evening? We've got away with it, and we were overrun in every department.
Absolutely,
so
yeah,
Fadi,
that's totally obvious.
Did you Rashford your 11 tonight?
I
didn't know. I know just because obviously we haven't got we're down to the bare bones of the squad, but I really wouldn't have. He's done nothing to justify a start in it is a big game for us, regardless of what we're fighting for. Like I said earlier, it is a big game, and Rashford hasn't justified a start in these big games.
You know what it is, guys? I'm going to go back to Jay's comment about the hope kills you. I just keep looking at Rashford, and I'm waiting for him to click back into gear. I think he showed so much promise over the last couple of years, and I just don't want it to be another player that we write off. And I know I have to just accept that he is where he is, but I just want him to click back into gear. And you start picking those 11s, and you look at players for namesake. And I looked at that position, and I was like, is it just emotional to leave him out and to go with someone in the youth, or is that where we are at in real time? And once again, I give him the benefit of the doubt, and he absolutely was piss poor again. And, it then comes to the summer, and the manager and the club have got a real decision to make about Rashford, because I know he's got a longer period of his contract left than some of the other players. But the longer he goes into that period, the tide suddenly turns, as we've seen with a Lingard and a Pogba, where the power isn't in the club's corner, where they can make the decision about the player and look to offload him. Suddenly, you go from being 2.5 years into a contract to being 18 months into a contract. These players then go, do you know what? I'll just sit it out and I'll wait to move. So if he continues this form for the next couple of games, he's another player that the club have to decide whether or not they want to keep him this summer.
Yeah. I mean, so we did get the goal. We did get a goal in the second half. Then Ronaldo scored after the Chelsea goal with a superb pass from Matic. Shout out to Matic for that pass, by the way. That was brilliant. But I think that should have been a turning point in the game. I don't know if you agree, Kev. I know we've been at home. We've just scored. Ronaldo, of all people, just to score a goal. Do you think that should have spurred us on to give a little bit more fight? Or do you think that we were too aware of what the dangers of Chelsea and what they could do to us if we did go ahead a little bit more? I know we did, after substitutions, make the game a little bit more interesting. But after that goal scored, I just think the game was in our favour. Do you agree, Kev?
I certainly do, because I didn't see it coming. I don't think Chelsea seen it coming. I think it was a formality from their point of view that once Alonso scored, it's like, right, that's game, set, and match. It's a matter of how many it's going to be. And it's that old saying, isn't it? You wait for a bus and then 2 come along at once. Manchester United hit back straight away. And I did not see that coming from when we went 1-0 behind. The pass, like I said earlier, from Matic is it's a brilliant pass, but Ronaldo still has a hell of a lot to do. And at that point, then you've got the crowd on side,
Exactly.
and we've not had many instances of this. And I always talk about this rapport. I always say, I've never been so disconnected from a group of Manchester United players in my life. If I'm at Old Trafford or whatever, I'm not there at the end, clapping them off, beating my chest or whatever, where you feel that mutual respect, thinking, fair play, you've given everything today. And I think today would be exactly the same. But at 1-1, when you get it back like that, and you've got Viva Ronaldo roaring around that stage, you've got the crowd behind you. And, the crowd could sense it. Could they sense it? Or, is it a bit of the crowd are just willing the team on, thinking, come on, somehow we've managed to find ourselves back at 1-1 here. Let's go at them. We've shown that we can score against them. Lo and behold, while that Viva Ronaldo song's ringing out, Chelsea are still doing exactly what they've done all game, breaking up the other end. And I don't know, it's almost like the atmosphere didn't really affect the Manchester United players. We do hear this thing sometimes, and back in the day, that the Stretford end in particular, that the crowd literally sucked the ball into the back of the net and all that, and they can be the 12th man. These players, a lot of them do not respond to it. And I think it's because deep down, a lot of them know that they're going, they're not responding to the manager in that. And you know what? I don't care. Besides what, Elanga, Sancho, obviously Ronaldo, De Gea, I can't think of anybody else that I would even, be shocked by leaving Manchester United. I even throw Bruno Fernandes into that category. I really do. I wouldn't be bothered in the slightest if he had moved.
I'll tell you something though, guys. I know we say we played a bit better today, but if we play like that against Brentford beat us.
Oh.
Yeah, especially with their form. And I think we have to talk about the substitutions as well. Like we said in that previous question there, Kev, we could have looked at the goal that we scored as the turning point in the game. Instead, it was very much the same again after we let Chelsea straight back on the front foot. I mean, the first sub we made was at 78 minutes. Matic coming off for Phil Jones. Do you think? Obviously, you said the same thing at half time, Jay, that you would have done the same thing. But after we'd scored and after we knew, obviously, that we could get a little bit more forward. Do you think that was the right substitution to make? And obviously, the fact that Garnacho was only brought on at 90 plus 1 minutes. Do you think that was how much of a chance did the lad have? Surely after we scored, we could have gone a bit further and been a bit more attacking.
Well, in the NFL, they call a player coming on at that late in the game, they call it garbage time, because the player doesn't have any time whatsoever to affect any positive change in the game. I would have brought on Phil Jones at half time for Scott McSideways, because he was another ghost today, 100%. That's when I brought Phil Jones on. But look, substitutions are what they are, and I think every time the camera went to Ralf, he cut a very forlorn figure in that dugout, knowing, and we've all agreed, that the players are not listening to him. They're not following his instructions. Like, Ralf Rangnick does not send those players out to perform in that manner. There's no question he hasn't. He's obviously been working on his systems for the last couple of months on a training ground. The players are not doing their job. In the real world, when you don't do your job for your manager, and we consistently fail to meet criteria set up by the manager, you're sacked. Ultimately, you're sacked for underperformance. But in the world of football, when they sign a 4-year contract, they can decide with 18 months to go to down tools, riot out, and then swan off on a free transfer. So I think the bigger picture here is the whole system, the way players' contracts are set up. I'll go back into the NFL. In the NFL, a lot of players are put on a 1-year contract. Okay, the older players are. And it's heavily based on incentives. So if a running back in the NFL doesn't achieve X amount of running yards over the course of the season, he doesn't meet his bonus. Therefore, he's only paid the base contract. Yeah. So it won't happen in football. But if it did, I think you would see a sea change in attitude from these players. So I think the bigger system here is, the bigger picture here is the system of the contracts and the way these players are reimbursed for play is broken. And by virtue of signing one contract 3 years, they're millionaires. Where is their hunger? Where is desire? There's very few Ronaldos, that their standards are so high, and their money is made a long time ago. It's not about money anymore for them. It's about personal goals and achieving personal standards. But a lot of these players anymore in the game, I'm not even talking about our own club, but across the game, professional football, the money is so big, it's ruined the game, and it's become a disincentive. So you sign a 3-year contract at 21, 22, you are now a millionaire. Where's your incentive? And that's the problem for me.
And that's the thing this evening. You mentioned a good point there. And you look at, I'd say, I've not looked at running statistics or whatever, but I would say from what I've seen, Cristiano Ronaldo probably covered more distance than Marcus Rashford, probably more sprints, probably even defended better than Marcus Rashford. And you look at that and you think, Marcus Rashford's 24 years old? Cristiano Ronaldo is 37 years old. And nobody can look at Ronaldo. And I'm sure there's rival fans that say he went to Manchester United for the money and that. I still stick by, it was always part of the Ronaldo love story with Manchester United that he was going to come back. And I think it's just such a shame that he finds himself in this team, because he's had great memories of playing in this stadium with fantastic players. Playing with the likes of Rooney, as much as it kills me, Tevez, but that was the standard at that time. Paul Scholes, Michael Carrick, Rio Ferdinand, Nemanja Vidic, Patrice Evra. What a fantastic team. And Ronaldo went through, and now he must find himself looking and, at Old Trafford, looking up to the skies almost and thinking, by God, I knew it was going to be, tough back here, but not this tough. And it's testament to Cristiano Ronaldo that he scored so many goals in a team that's one of the worst I've seen. Probably the worst United team I've seen in my lifetime. Fair play to them.
Absolutely, Kev. Like you said, I think that just shows what character Ronaldo is and how he can come into a team and done what he's done. But on that note then, guys, it might be hard, and I probably know the answer to most of them, but you guys in the comments as well, you have to pick a man of the match in that game because it wasn't a loss. So who are you going for? We'll start with you then, Jay.
I'm going to go with my man, David De Gea. As usual, Dave saves. And without David De Gea, we're mid-table in the story.
Yeah. Kev?
Good one, but after that little rousing speech, then I'll have to go with Ronaldo. I just thought, again, the Arsenal game, we lose that 3-1. And we were speaking about this in the fan forum the other night. The fact of you've got somebody, we talk about mentality issues. Sorry, I'll be very quick here. We've got the likes of Harry Maguire, captain of Manchester United. He's taking out the limelight, whatever. There's a bomb scare at his house. There wasn't a bomb there. Fair enough, but can't for Manchester United. You've got Cristiano Ronaldo, who most of us can't even comprehend what he has been through that week. But yet he comes back to Manchester United, doesn't shy away from it. His release is football, plays man of the match performance for me against Arsenal. And now he's just done exactly the same against Chelsea. So forever grateful for him. Again, it just shows a mentality from Ronaldo's generation to the Harry Maguire generation where it's like, and all this. Ronaldo, just a different breed. And just a quick one. It's the wife's birthday today. I did say I'd give her a shout out. She has to put up with a lot being married to me. So happy birthday, Catherine Ashford. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday. Jordan, who are you going for?
I'm going to have to agree with my Irish friend Jay. I think it's very easy to go for the goal scorer. I know Ronaldo does what he does, but for me, David De Gea, I feel like that game is out of sight by half time if he didn't make saves that he made. So I'm going to go for DDG.
Yeah. And the majority of the chat, I think, going with the same. David De Gea, Ronaldo. I've seen a few Matic in there. Big happy birthday to Kev's missus, obviously. But guys, we will leave you there. That's the end of the show. I've really enjoyed hosting. Live comments have been great, along with the great panel. So thanks again for tuning in. I know it's difficult to keep coming along when Man United are bringing us all down. But I think this just shows us all we get together at the end. And if it wasn't for you guys and stuff, it would be a lot more depressing than it is. So well done, everyone. And we'll see you again soon.